Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look here is Buster. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here. You done? Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tanya. I'm a musician, blogger, SEO and passive income specialist, and gardener. And today we are going to be doing a backyard garden tour on my little suburban farm. So grab your cup of coffee and let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the garden that just has flowers in it. So this is one that we have fixed up quite nicely. Over here, this is all moonflower and morning glory, and it doesn't look very impressive, but pretty soon it's going to cover this entire trellis and even go over the back of the fence. And it's going to have these beautiful, huge white flowers, and then the morning glory is going to have some smaller pink, purple, and blue flowers. Okay, then we have this little tower here where we've got some impatiens, some vinca, and I cannot remember what this is called. It is a succulent and it is gorgeous, and it really needs to be deadheaded. Some of these are just totally spent blossoms, but there are these beautiful red and orange blossoms, some about to open, some are super tiny still. Then we have coleus. We have a cross that apparently has fallen off the fence. We'll have to get that fixed back up. And this is our coral honeysuckle. This thing started so small and over the last few years has gotten huge. And I've got to tell you that the hummingbirds love these little red flowers. You see hummingbirds out here all the time and they are just so beautiful. And this is a native honeysuckle, so it's not going to take over. It's very good for the environment and it smells wonderful. See, we've got the fountain up and running. We've got some lantana growing over here. The very sad crepe myrtle that died in the freeze. I've got a new one ordered to replace it, but for right now, we just have a sad dead tree. Let's see, over here, we have this rose, which I love. And it's been really dry, so a lot of these blossoms are spent, but we've got some new ones coming on. And I'm really attached to this rose because it was gifted to me from a cutting from a very dear friend who passed away a couple of years ago, so it means a lot. The little brown pot, that's just weeds. Haven't planted anything there yet, but we've got some rosemary next to Mary, of course. My gardener did that, so spoiler alert, this mulch and stuff, I had somebody do that. More weeds, more coleus, the cross that Mandy's dad actually made us to go out here. So this is that bed. And then also on this fence line, we are actually gonna hang some basil that I have going over here that's doing really well. It's just not hung yet. And we've had a problem with cats using the mulch as a litter box. So I've got a couple of things of grounds from your garden here that we're gonna sprinkle over the mulch because it's supposed to deter cats. I'll check back in and let you know if that actually works. So now we're gonna go around to the vegetable gardens, which you saw me plant. Okay, so inside the garden bed, the landscape fabric is doing great, and you can see that the ground ivy is creeping right on up to it, but we're trying to keep it under control. But these peppers have really established. They're getting little blossoms on them now. I believe it's this one. This one actually has a serrano chili growing on it. So you can see that right there. The chilies are still small. They're going to be small in the beginning. The basil is doing well. This one actually needs to be pinched. So we're gonna break that off there so that that basil plant will get bushy. And this will be super tasty in the pasta I'm making tonight. So over here on this side are some cherry tomatoes that I bought by accident, but they seem to be happy. These are the black cherry tomatoes I've planted. And as you can see, I've already had to start trellising these. to hold them up because they're so huge and they're starting to put off flowers. So we're gonna have some baby tomatoes pretty soon. These are our potatoes. I hilled them up with more dirt yesterday, and these were extra potatoes, so I don't know if these are fingerlings or Kennebec. It will just be a surprise when we get them. Now, if you come over here, these huge things are 4 o'clocks, and they're beautiful flowers, and I did not plant these. These self-seeded from last year, so I'm just letting them go. One of my favorite sayings is, plants want to grow, and they will grow wherever they can, as these have. I even, if you look, have some 4 o'clocks coming up in the middle of the bed where I walk. So I'm just gonna walk around them and let them go. And this right here is a little zinnia that has self-seeded, so we're gonna let that grow as well. Now, the flower bed is doing really well. This looks like a hot mess right now, but eventually this is going to be a big cutting garden where I can get cut flowers from, and it is really happy at the moment. As you can see, tons of growth in there. The garlic is getting close to being ready to pick. You can see some of these leaves turning yellow. I'll let it go a little bit longer, but you can see how thick the stem is. Now these, if you remember, are the epic tomatoes. The tomatoes that Buster grabbed and ran around the backyard with and shook vigorously. As you can see, it did not bother them at all. They are super happy. Oh, they're growing, the biggest of all of them. We have lots of flowers on them. So these Romas are just happy as could be. And then the last thing in this bed are more potato plants. And as you can see, this potato's already starting to put off some pretty little flowers. So I've got lots of potatoes going. Gonna have to get those some water today. I'm slowly watering the gardens one at a time because we have just not had rain. As a matter of fact, you can see this bed is actually getting watered right now by these soaker hoses that are slowly putting a drip down into the ground. One more thing I forgot to show you in the bed was this lavender. Now, this lavender we thought was lost in the freeze, but actually once I trimmed it up, it's still doing really, really well, and you can see these beautiful blooms that are starting to come off. So this is gonna smell wonderful. Lavender is a medicinal herb, but honestly, I grow it because it's pretty and it smells wonderful. Occasionally I'll use it for aromatherapy. I don't really like it in teas. It's a little too soapy for me. And it might be that I haven't created the right mix yet, but it's doing really well. Okay, so let's take a look at these San Marzanos that I planted as well. As you can see, these San Marzanos are so totally happy with the sad little marigold there. I think that marigolds like poor soil, and this soil is really good, so that might be part of my issue. But as you can see, these San Marzanos are just huge and strong. And here's a little sucker that I need to pick off there. You don't want those little suckers growing because they take energy from the plant. So I just try to get out here once a day, get my hands on my plants, look at them, and look for any pests, get any suckers. I'm gonna have to do some pruning pretty soon. You can see that kind of yellow leaf laying on the ground. I need to prune those bottom leaves off so that they don't get diseased. Now we're gonna look at a new addition to the garden since you were here last. And I finally found a couple of blackberry vines. So I have one here and I have one over here. And to be honest, the swing set frame was here when we bought the house and we just could not get rid of it. So we are just using it. And we've used it for years now and it's working really well kind of as a trellis. So like I said, I've got these blackberries growing and then I have these hanging baskets. And I just threw some little climbing seeds into these baskets. And as you can see, they're doing really well. So by the end of the summer, the whole top of this swing set is going to be covered in climbing trees. Not trees. By the end of the summer, this whole swing set should be covered in climbing plants and flowers, and it's going to be very, very pretty. The bench also came with the house. It's still hanging out, you know, 8 years later, but that's okay. Now over here, I've got my blueberries, and they are doing really, really well. They took a big hard hit from the freeze, so I don't have a lot of fruit going on right now. I've got just a few little berries, and I'll just leave those for the birds because there's just not enough for us to harvest. But as you can see, let me step back here. These blueberries are just so totally happy. And I've got the one bucket on its side. We're gonna do something with that. And that other Lowe's bucket, I actually have a blueberry plant in it. Back here, we also have a Rose of Sharon bush that one of my clarinet students actually gave me. Her mom was thinning hers out, and I know that these tend to be aggressive and take over, so I planted it in this little planting box in the middle of all this concrete to kind of keep it in check. But it is doing well too, and it's gonna be covered in these beautiful purple flowers later this season. All this on the fence, I painstakingly went through and got all the Virginia creeper that I could trimmed out of it, because this plant is actually called crossvine. It only blooms for a couple of weeks out of the year, and they are gorgeous. But this is a native plant to my area, and I am big on trying to keep natives as best as possible. So when I saw I had all this beautiful crossvine growing, I wanted to try to keep it if possible. It's actually, if you look up, it's all in that tree as well. So we've got lots of crossvine, and then this is my compost pile. Now I am gonna make a second attempt at composting this summer using my compost tumbler. I haven't started yet. I have found tons of success the last few years with just taking all my dead leaves, plants, organic kitchen scraps that come from my CSA, and just throwing them out here, and it actually turns into this most gorgeous soil. I am going to try to speed the process up a little this year using this compost tumbler, so maybe we'll do a YouTube video on that. I'll report back. Okay, so you've seen what's going on. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at what I hope to finish up this summer, the beds that have not yet been tended to. Okay, so this is one bed that we have, and I put this fencing around it to keep Buster out of it, and that clearly worked based on the condition the fencing is in. But it also keeps the guy that mows my lawn, or what little lawn I have, as you can see, there's not a lot to it. This also keeps this from getting like weeded down. This is all weeds right now, so I'm gonna get in here and get all this cleared up. I've got some old vines from last year growing on the bird feeder that's empty. And honestly, I don't know what I'm putting in it yet, but this is gonna be our next project, tackling this little section. And then our big project for the summer is this bed. This bed is sad. This is a DIY project that we just gave up on. We've got the pond, which looks sad. There's one fish still alive in the pond. I've named him Methuselah because I don't know how he's still alive. The bed is falling apart. It is completely grown over in Virginia creeper and ivy. Ivy is the bane of our existence here. The people who owned this house before us planted tons of English ivy and other types of ivy, and it has just, it's a constant battle. But our goal, I have ordered a Vigo garden bed, and we are gonna build it around the pond. We're also gonna attempt to get the pond thoroughly cleaned out for little Methuselah, and also get our fountain going, because I don't know if you can even see it back here. There's a little frog water fountain spitter thing kind of in the center there. You can maybe see it, but like I said, oh, there's Methuselah. I don't know if you can see him way back there in the far corner, the little goldfish. Yep, there he is. There he goes. He's still alive. I don't know how. The neighborhood cats did some fishing. So when we are working on this, we're gonna put him some hidey holes in the pond. But I ordered a Vigo garden bed to go here. and it is coming today, but the 2 extenders that I need are on back order till August. So I'm hoping they come early because this bed was not supposed to ship until July, so it's coming in a month early. So hopefully this will be fixed. And the whole reason we put the pond back here in the first place was to draw frogs, because frogs then will eat the bugs in our garden. So it's all kind of a natural way of doing pest control. That's the same reason that I have the bird feeder over in this bed, to get birds back here so that then they will also go and eat the pest out of the garden. So that is the garden update for this year. So there's your garden update. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out my garden blog. It talks about a lot of my growing stuff, basically how-tos, things that can go wrong, how you can improve things. It is thesuburbangarden.net. I'll link it down below, as also I will link down the blog post of my garden blog's growth if you're here for the business side of things. I like to mix it up and show all of who I am on my channel. So business and gardening as well, because this garden is going to bring us so much food, and I'm very, very excited about that. So until next time, peace out. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya. Really? Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Tanya, and that's Buster. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look here is Buster. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here. You done?